There's a moment in every man's life when he finally stops chasing, and in that silence, something profound begins to shift. She feels it. Not because he vanished, but because his energy changed. The desperation is gone, the calm has arrived. What once was pursuit becomes presence, and what once was noise becomes gravity. In that stillness, he discovers what the Stoics always knew: love cannot be forced, only invited. And when you no longer need to chase what's meant for you, it starts to find its way back, naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where you will find valuable lessons and tips to help you build a truly lasting love. In today's video, we will explore, when you stop chasing, she starts to feel it, with real stories and insight. Don't miss the advice that can change the way you perceive and live in love. You will definitely feel more comfortable when you find a quiet place and put on your headphones. Let yourself relax and be ready to receive the positive messages in today's video. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's start together. When you stop chasing, she begins to feel it, a Stoic reflection on love and pursuit. It is a curious dynamic in human relationships. Often when one person pursues with intensity, the other retreats. Conversely, when one pulls back, the other becomes drawn in. For many, that shift from pursuit to presence can trigger a transformation, not of manipulation, but of awareness, of self-worth, of genuine connection. In the philosophy of Stoicism, this phenomenon can be reframed not as a game of power or attraction, but as an exercise in virtue, self-control, and acceptance. 1. The nature of pursuit. In the early phase of attraction, one might feel compelled to chase, to impress, to show affection, to prove one's value. But from a Stoic lens, chasing too fervently may betray a deeper vulnerability. The belief that one's happiness depends on the other's recognition, or that affection must be won rather than freely given. The Stoics teach that our serenity depends on what lies within our control, our own judgments, choices, and intentions, not on what lies outside our control, the other person's feelings, responses, or actions. When you chase, you place the other as the arbiter of your value. You become invested in their reaction. Stoicism would encourage you to reflect: is my peace of mind being governed by something external? If so, the philosopher within you awakens and says, no. Let me anchor my sense of worth in virtue, in integrity, in being my best self, rather than in earning another's gaze. 2. When you stop chasing, an inner shift. Stopping the chase isn't about playing games, it is about returning to one's own center. It means shifting from, I must win her affections, to, I choose to act with dignity, whether she chooses me or not. This doesn't mean you care less, it means you care differently. Your care becomes tied to who you are, not who she is. The Stoics distinguish between preferred indifference, things that are fine if they occur, and the truly good, virtue. Love can be a preferred indifferent, nice to have, meaningful to share, but not essential for your flourishing. When you stop chasing, you create space. You create a presence that says, I am here, I live my values, if you walk toward me, I will gladly walk toward you. But if not, I will walk my path. That space fosters authenticity. It invites the other to respond not to your pursuit, but to your presence. She begins to feel the difference: you are less anxious, less demanding, more serene. A person drawn into serenity is far more able to choose freely, rather than respond to pressure. 3. Her awareness, the emergence of feeling. When you withdraw the overt chase, two things often happen. First, you stop chasing her, and you begin attending to yourself. Your growth, your purpose, your character. That transformation is felt, even if subtle. Others sense confidence, calmness, self-possession. You become less of a follower and more of an equal. That magnetic shift is not causal manipulation, it's the natural byproduct of someone living congruently. Second, she begins to feel you differently. Because your behavior changed, you stopped being reactive, needy, anxious, and you began being poised, grounded, consistent. She may sense, he is here, yet he is not desperate. He values me, but is not defined by me. That paradox invites respect, interest, and genuine recognition. From a Stoic perspective, this is not about winning her or making her feel guilty for less pursuit, it's about showing that your virtue, your happiness, your life, are not contingent solely on her attention. And that freedom invites her to engage or not engage, without coercion. Her feeling arises not from your chase, but from your integrity. 4. The Stoic virtues in play. Let's map the Stoic virtues, wisdom, justice, courage, moderation, onto this dynamic. Wisdom, you see that chasing someone mercilessly is not wise. You understand the dichotomy of control, you cannot force another's heart, only cultivate your own. Justice, you treat her fairly, with respect, not as an object of pursuit, but as a person with her own agency. You honor her freedom even as you maintain your own. Courage, it takes courage to stop chasing, to face the fear of losing, the unknown of whether she will respond. The Stoic loves with courage, willing to risk without being consumed by fear. Moderation, you avoid extremes, neither obsessively pursuing nor coldly withdrawing into apathy. You balance presence and absence, action and patience. Stoic love is a love of appreciation, not attachment. 5. Why she feels it, the psychological shift. On a psychological level, when someone stops chasing, they change not only their outward behavior, but their internal orientation. A person radiating need often triggers in others either avoidance, because they feel pressured, or pity, lesser engagement. But when someone radiates autonomy and calm, others respond more naturally, they are drawn in not because of novelty, but because of authenticity. She begins to feel you, not just your words or actions, but your presence, the constancy, the confidence, the refusal to be defined by pursuit. That feeling can trigger interest, respect, connection. The shift isn't magic, it's the alignment of inner life and outer behavior. 6. When she doesn't feel it, acceptance. What if she doesn't respond even then? The Stoic path is well prepared. Because your serenity was never tethered to her response. If she doesn't engage, you neither collapse nor inflate, you simply continue to live well. You accept that she has her own path, fate, amor fati, is at play. In other words, you made your move by living virtue fully, whether she aligns is beyond your control. You neither blame her nor yourself, you learn, you grow, you release with gratitude for the experience. The Stoic asks, what is in my control now? My integrity, my attitude, my growth. 7. Practical steps. Make a pause, reflect on your motivations. Are you chasing from fear, lack, approval seeking? Reorient, shift your focus to your own development, your values, your purpose. Offer presence, not pressure, when you engage, do so from calm, not desperation. Accept uncertainty, whether she responds or not, you remain whole. Be ready to let go, letting go is not defeat, it is recognition of what you cannot control. 8. Conclusion. In love, as in life, the deepest victories are often quiet. The moment you stop chasing is not the end of possibility, it is the beginning of authenticity. When you stop chasing, you become someone worth being felt. When she begins to feel it, it's not because you manipulated her, it's because you invited her into a space of virtue, presence, and freedom. That is the Stoic way of love. In love, sometimes we don't need too many promises, but just a little understanding and a heart that knows how to listen. It is the experiences, both happy and sad, that help us mature and know how to love more fully. Here, I want to contemplate those things with you, so that each step in the journey of love becomes more clear-headed and peaceful. If you feel that what I share is valuable, please click like to support this video. And if this is your first visit, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss the next insightful perspectives on love. I also really want to hear from you. What do you like most about today's story? Leave a comment below, because who knows, your experience might be a great source of encouragement for someone else who is listening. And now, let's continue with me, exploring what's waiting ahead. Part 2, The Paradox of Distance, How Letting Go Becomes an Invitation. There's a strange truth about human affection: the more you chase something that is running away, the faster it flees. But when you slow down, breathe, and focus on your own path, something shifts in the air. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it names. In love, as in life, what we hold too tightly suffocates, what we hold lightly often grows. 1. The inner paradox of desire. Desire, in its essence, is not wrong. The Stoics did not condemn love or longing, they simply warned against enslavement to them. Epictetus said, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow it may die." That was not cruelty, it was clarity. It was a reminder that even in love, attachment must be tempered by awareness of impermanence. When you chase, you are in resistance to impermanence. You want the other person to be yours, to stay, to reciprocate, to fulfill your vision. But life is fluid, and hearts are sovereign. When you stop chasing, you align yourself with reality. You stop demanding that love obey your timeline. You stop fighting the natural rhythm of connection and distance. This surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. The Stoic accepts that love is beautiful precisely because it is fragile, voluntary, and uncertain. 2. Love without possession. To love someone does not mean to own them, to stop chasing does not mean to stop caring. It means you transform your affection from possession to appreciation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." Notice that last phrase, with all your heart. The Stoic does not half love, he fully engages, yet never forgets the nature of things. To stop chasing is to stop trying to make someone stay by force, guilt, or expectation. It is to offer your love freely, without clinging, without bargaining. And paradoxically, when you reach that state, the other person begins to feel your authenticity. She senses that your love is not a trap, but an invitation. You are no longer the hunter, you are the harbor. You become a presence that offers peace, not pressure. That energy changes everything. 3. The energy shift she feels. When you stop chasing, she begins to feel it, not because of the absence of effort, but because of the emergence of calm. She feels that your interactions are no longer loaded with silent expectations. Your messages no longer beg for replies, your presence no longer asks for validation. You speak, act, and move with a grounded energy, one that says, "I choose to care for you, but I do not need you to complete me." This energy is profoundly magnetic. It is the same shift you see in people who have mastered themselves. They are not aloof, they are centered. And the world, especially those attuned to them, feels that gravity. Psychologically, this change activates a deep sense of curiosity and attraction. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. When someone feels your self-possession, they begin to question their own dependence. They start to notice your presence in their absence. You live rent-free not because you're chasing them, but because you've become the peace they lack. 4. The Stoic practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean indifference. It means loving deeply, while accepting impermanence. It's the art of saying, "I want you, but I don't need you to be whole." It's the power of being able to lose and still remain yourself. To cultivate this, Stoicism offers several mental practices. Negative visualization: imagine losing what you love, not to become pessimistic, but to cultivate gratitude and humility. Dichotomy of control. Remind yourself daily, her feelings are not mine to control. My virtue is. Amor fati, love your fate. If she stays, love it. If she leaves, love it. Both are gifts. These aren't abstract ideas. They're exercises in freedom. When you practice them, your heart remains open but unshackled. You can love fiercely without being consumed. 5. The liberation of stopping the chase. Stopping the chase liberates both of you. For you, it frees your mind from obsession, your soul from anxiety. It allows you to rediscover yourself, your passions, friends, discipline, and purpose. For her, it frees her from the unspoken burden of expectation. She no longer feels the invisible demand to reciprocate. She can choose instead of comply. That freedom is where real love breathes. And often, in that space of freedom, something miraculous happens. She starts to move toward you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. This is the paradox of distance. What you release with grace often returns transformed. 6. Love as a virtuous discipline. For the Stoic, love is not a wild storm, it is a discipline. It's not about emotional highs and lows, but about cultivating constancy, patience, and virtue in the presence of emotion. Epictetus might say, "Do not seek that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do." Apply that to love. Do not wish her to love you as you imagine, wish to love her as reality allows. When you stop chasing, you're no longer demanding that the universe rearrange itself for your comfort. You're participating with gratitude in the dance of impermanence. To love stoically is to say, I will give my best, accept what is, and let go of what is not. And when you do that, you become unshakable. Love is actually like a mirror reflecting the inner self. When we are calm enough, we will realize that every challenge, every silence carries a valuable lesson. And that is what I want to convey through each story on this channel. If you feel that these shares bring value, please leave a like to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because who knows, one day, just a small idea from these videos can change the way you look at love, at yourself. Let's continue with me, because there are many interesting things waiting for you to discover. Part 3, Building Emotional Freedom, How Stoicism Transforms the Way You Love and Are Loved. There comes a point in every pursuit when exhaustion meets realization. You can't make someone love you through effort alone. You can offer everything, attention, affection, consistency, and yet, if it comes from fear, it will never create peace. In that quiet realization, the Stoic path begins. 1. Freedom is the foundation of love. The Stoics believe that freedom, inner freedom, is the condition for virtue and happiness. Without freedom, love becomes dependency, with freedom, love becomes choice. When you stop chasing, you are not giving up on love, you are reclaiming your freedom. You are saying, I choose to love you, but I will not enslave myself to your response. That distinction changes everything. A free person loves purely because they want to, not because they must. And a love freely given, without the chains of control, is the only kind that can endure. Marcus Aurelius captured this in his Meditations. A person's worth is measured by the worth of what they value. If you value virtue over validation, you will always be rich. If you value growth over approval, your peace will never depend on another. This is what she begins to feel when you stop chasing, your freedom. And paradoxically, that freedom makes you more attractive, because people are drawn to those who do not need them, but still choose them. 2. The silent power of detachment. Emotional detachment in Stoicism is not emotional absence. It is emotional mastery. It means that your emotions no longer control your actions, and your peace no longer depends on external events. When you stop chasing, you begin to practice this mastery. You stop sending messages out of anxiety. You stop performing to impress. You begin to act from calm intention rather than emotional impulse. Over time, this consistency builds what modern psychology calls secure energy. It's the feeling of someone who is emotionally stable, confident, and self-sufficient. She begins to notice this, not because you announce it, but because she feels it in your energy, your silence, your calm. Detachment amplifies attraction because it communicates one thing clearly. I am okay with or without you. That statement is powerful, not because it's cold, but because it's true. It liberates both of you from the anxiety of constant reassurance. 3. The difference between absence and indifference. Many confuse not chasing with not caring. But they are vastly different. Absence is the art of space, indifference is the absence of empathy. Stoicism teaches balance, not detachment to the point of coldness, but composure to the point of peace. You do not stop caring, you simply stop clinging. You still listen, still care, still appreciate, but you do not need constant reciprocation to feel valuable. That emotional independence creates a type of presence that is incredibly rare in modern relationships. Because when everyone else is desperate to be seen, the one who can stand still and see themselves radiates serenity. Your absence is not punishment, it is perspective. Your calm is not avoidance, it is confidence. And she will feel that difference. She will sense that your silence is not emotional withdrawal, it's emotional maturity. 4. The alchemy of stillness. Stillness is one of the highest Stoic virtues. When everything around you is loud, when emotions scream for attention, when anxiety pushes you to act, the Stoic learns to pause. This pause is where transformation happens. When you stop chasing, you enter that sacred stillness. You begin to observe your mind instead of obeying it. You start to understand that love is not a race to be won but a rhythm to be attuned to. She begins to feel your stillness. Your energy no longer fluctuates wildly between affection and frustration. You become predictable in the best way, consistent, calm, grounded. That stillness, paradoxically, speaks louder than any confession. It says, I have found peace in myself, and from that peace, I choose you, if you wish to join me. Love born from stillness feels safe. And safety, not excitement, is what creates longevity. 5. When you let go, you gain perspective. Letting go is not about losing, it's about gaining a wider view. When you stop chasing, you step back far enough to see the relationship clearly. You start to ask wiser questions. Is she truly aligned with my values? Am I chasing her, or am I chasing validation? Do I love her for who she is, or for how she makes me feel? The Stoics would say, examine your impressions. In modern terms, don't believe everything your emotions tell you. What feels like love might sometimes be attachment, or fear, or ego. Stopping the chase gives you space to discern the difference. You begin to love more intelligently, not less intensely, but more consciously. And if, after reflection, your love remains, then it is purer, stronger, and freer. 6. The reversal, when she begins to feel it. Eventually, something subtle changes. She begins to feel your absence, not because you disappeared, but because your energy withdrew its dependency. She feels the silence of your old patterns, the messages that no longer come, the attention that is no longer demanded. At first, she may feel confusion, then curiosity, then longing. Why? Because human beings are naturally attuned to the emotional energy of others. When you were chasing, you flooded her space with noise. When you stop, the silence echoes. That silence becomes a mirror. She begins to wonder what changed, what she lost, what she took for granted. And in that wondering, she starts to feel. But here's the crucial Stoic insight, you did not stop chasing to make her feel. You stop chasing to become free. Her realization is not your victory, it is simply the natural consequence of your growth. If she returns, you welcome her with grace. If she doesn't, you bless her with peace. Either way, you have already won, because you have mastered yourself. Part 4, Stoicism and the Future of Love, How Emotional Mastery Creates Lasting Connection. There is a quiet revolution happening in the way we understand love. For centuries, love has been described as passion, pursuit, and possession, a storm that consumes both hearts. But the Stoics offer a different lens, love not as chaos, but as clarity, not as hunger, but as harmony. 1. Love as a shared freedom. When you stop chasing, you don't destroy the possibility of love, you redefine it. You begin to see love not as a transaction, I give so I may receive, but as a collaboration between two free souls. The Stoic does not fall in love blindly. He stands in love, eyes open, grounded in virtue. He knows that true love cannot grow in captivity, it only thrives in freedom. You stop asking, how can I make her stay? Instead, you begin asking, how can I love her well, even if she chooses to leave? That subtle shift transforms your presence. It removes fear from your affection. Because fear is what kills love, not distance, not silence, not rejection, but fear of losing what was never yours to own. When you release that fear, your love becomes something extraordinary, calm, patient, unconditional. And she feels it. She feels the rare gift of being loved without being controlled. 2. The Stoic Lover, Strength in Serenity. A Stoic lover is not detached or cold, he is steady. He loves deeply, but never desperately. He gives fully, but never empties himself to fill another. His strength lies in serenity. He doesn't argue to be understood, he listens to understand. He doesn't demand affection, he offers respect. He doesn't chase validation, he cultivates value. And from that place of inner peace, his love becomes a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Imagine a man who, after being rejected, simply smiles and says, "May you be happy, even if it's not with me." That's not weakness. That's mastery. It's the kind of quiet strength that unsettles those who mistake attachment for love. Because deep down, we all crave a love that does not beg, it simply is. 3. How emotional mastery builds connection. You might think that detachment reduces intimacy, but the opposite is true. When you are emotionally free, your presence becomes safer. Your partner feels seen, not smothered, appreciated, not obligated. In modern relationships, most conflicts arise from fear of abandonment, rejection, or loss of control. But a Stoic, grounded in reason and virtue, does not seek to control what cannot be controlled. He seeks only to love well and live well. That attitude invites openness. It creates the kind of trust that cannot be forced, because it's built on peace, not pressure. When you stop chasing, your communication changes. You start listening more and reacting less. You begin to express your feelings clearly, without manipulation or demand. You give her the space to be herself, and in doing so, she feels safer to come closer. That's how Stoicism transforms love, by replacing need with presence, control with understanding, and fear with acceptance. 4. The dance of presence and distance. The healthiest relationships are not those without distance, but those where distance no longer threatens love. A Stoic understands that space is not separation, it's breathing room. When you stop chasing, you create space for both of you to grow individually. And growth, paradoxically, deepens connection. It's like a dance, you step forward, she steps back, you pause, she moves in. But the beauty of the dance lies not in constant motion, it lies in rhythm, in harmony, in trust. To love stoically is to trust the rhythm. If she steps away, you do not panic, you wait with grace. If she steps toward you, you receive her with peace. Love, then, becomes an act of faith, not in her, not in outcomes, but in virtue itself. You trust that whatever unfolds will serve your growth, your wisdom, and your peace. You love without guarantees, and that makes your love fearless. 5. Beyond her, the greater lesson. When you stop chasing her, you realize something profound. It was never just about her. She was the mirror. The chase was the lesson. Through her, you met your own attachment, your fear of rejection, your hunger for validation. And by releasing the chase, you began to reclaim yourself. That is the true Stoic journey, using every experience, even heartbreak, as an opportunity for self-mastery. You stop saying, "She made me feel unworthy," and start realizing, "I gave her the power to define my worth." You stop asking, "Why didn't she love me back?" and begin asking, "Was I loving myself enough?" This transformation turns pain into wisdom. You learn that peace is not found in being chosen, but in choosing yourself, every single day. 6. When you become the calm. When you stop chasing, and you truly embody the Stoic principles of love, something incredible happens. You become the calm. Not just calm in behavior, but calm in essence. You walk through the world with quiet confidence, a kind of grounded grace that doesn't shout, doesn't beg, doesn't break. People feel it. She feels it. You no longer demand energy, you radiate it. You no longer chase attention, you attract it effortlessly. Because what you have cultivated is not a tactic, it's truth. It's alignment between who you are and what you feel. It's love that exists independent of outcome, rooted in virtue, guided by peace. That calm is magnetic. It's what she feels in the silence after you've stopped chasing. It's what others feel when they meet you and sense that you are enough, exactly as you are. And that, ultimately, is the essence of Stoic love, to be whole, not because someone stays, but because you have learned to stay with yourself. 7. The final reflection, love as virtue. In the end, when you stop chasing, you begin to see love not as something to acquire, but as something to embody. You realize that love, in its truest form, is a virtue, a way of being, not a feeling to possess. It is kindness without expectation. Presence without demand. Affection without attachment. You become both student and master, learning through love, growing through loss, and choosing serenity over chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "No man is harmed by that which is natural to him." And what is more natural than to love? To love with freedom. To give without fear. To let go without bitterness. When you stop chasing, you honor both love and yourself. You say, "I will not run after you, but I will walk beside you if you choose." And if she begins to feel it, that's beautiful. If she doesn't, that's fine too. Because the ultimate goal was never to make her feel. It was to become someone who no longer needs to chase what is meant to come freely. That is the Stoics' lesson in love. To love deeply, live peacefully, and remain unmoved by anything that does not belong to your control. In that balance, you find not just wisdom, but freedom. Not just peace, but power. And not just love for her, but love for life itself. Epilogue, the quiet victory. When you stop chasing, and she finally feels it, you smile, not because you've won, but because you've understood. You have learned what few ever do. That love is not pursuit, but presence. Not possession, but participation. Not needing, but being. And from that moment on, you walk lighter, calmer, freer. Ready to love again, not because you're searching, but because you've already found what matters most, yourself. Conclusion, the serenity of letting go. When you stop chasing, something shifts, not only in her, but within you. The silence you once feared becomes the space where wisdom grows. The emptiness you tried to fill with pursuit becomes the ground of your peace. Through Stoic eyes, love is no longer a battlefield of desire and control, it becomes a mirror for your inner state. You begin to understand that love is not about possession or victory, it's about presence and virtue. To love someone the Stoic way is to care deeply without clinging, to give without expecting, and to remain steady when the waves of emotion rise and fall. You stop measuring love by response and start measuring it by integrity. And in that calm detachment, she begins to feel something new, your absence of need, your quiet confidence, your unwavering self-respect. It is not your distance that draws her in, but your peace. You have become whole on your own, and that wholeness speaks louder than any words or pursuit ever could. Whether she returns or drifts away no longer defines you. You've learned that love, like everything in life, flows best when it's free. To stop chasing is not to stop loving, it is to love from a place of strength rather than fear. That is the Stoic truth: when you no longer chase, you no longer lose. You simply align with what is meant for you, and in that stillness, both love and peace find their way back home. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. Hopefully the sharing about love and lessons from this video will help you have new thoughts and find empathy. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share with those around you. Each of us has our own stories about love, and I'm happy to explore them with you. See you in the next videos. Wishing you a wonderful day filled with love.